let's go ahead and open up the donations module here. And in the donations module, after you've entered donations, donations have been posted. You could always go back and find those batches that you've previously posted up here at the top under donations, and then this little posted batches button. So this window is going to be organized by date. You can see that here on the far left side, starting at the beginning of the year all the way down through current batches. You also have a date range box here itself. So you can go in and you can easily hit this minus year, this plus year button if you want to click back and look through previous time frames. So you don't always have to stay in 2020. It's really easy to go back, hit this little minus year button, and it'll jump you back to 2019, and you'll be able to easily see everything that was posted back in 2019. Now, you can also use the date pickers here, the to and the from fields. You can use these to focus in on a specific date, week, month, whatever time frame you're wanting to pull up below on the posted batches screen. If you leave it for the whole year, which is going to come up as a default, it's then, if you look below, it's simply going to show you every date that a donation was posted. So donations is very date driven. Your batches are going to be organized by the date things were posted. So if you're looking through the list here, you can see most of these dates are going to be a Sunday because that's when things are getting posted. But here's a quick breakdown of the date. This is the batch code field. So if you are a church or organization that likes to organize things by batch code, you would see that listed here. Total column, that's pretty self-explanatory. That'll be the total giving for that batch. And then you also have a cash check breakdown, and then a number of entries. So this is basically going to be the number of donations, the number of transactions that make up the particular batch that you're looking at for that day. Okay. Now you also have a little plus sign here, which is really handy. If I hit this plus sign to the left of the date, you're then going to be able to see the information or the details of what makes this batch what it is. So you'll be able to see the giver, how much that person gave. If you've entered a check or reference number, that will appear here. Any donations, comments. You'll also see their payment method, and then you're going to see the date posted. All right, so keep in mind the date posted is actually the date you are sitting at your machine, or someone, doesn't have to be you specifically, whomever was sitting at the machine and posted that batch. Okay, so again, this is your donation date. Typically that would be your Sunday, or for your Sunday offering, for example. And then your date posted might not be till the following day, that Monday, when someone actually comes into the office and posts it. Remember, date posted is when you're actually sitting at the machine entering those donations. So this is a really nice screen to be able to go in, look at a particular batch, and then see the details that make up that batch. All right, so that's the bottom of page 29. Let's talk about printing. This is a really great screen to get a real easy, nice, clean batch report. So let's look at the batch from the 26th. All right, yeah, I picked this one. It was just a little bit bigger so we could see some better information. So if you want to print this out, all you need to do is click to highlight the date or the batch itself that you're wanting the report on. And then right down here at the bottom, you have a print batch button. It's immediately going to open up to your donations batch report screen. Now, from here, you can do a lot of customizing if you want to really build this report to look the way you want. If you don't change anything and you just go with our default, so you don't change anything amongst these tabs, you leave it as is, hit print, you're going to get a really basic, clean report of the batch itself. So you're going to get the giver, the account they gave to, the transaction number, and the total that they gave, and then you're also going to get a check number. Now, if you don't like the layout of this report, it's completely customizable. You can go in and change it to build it however you wish to see. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And back on these different tabs, this is really where you can go ahead and go in and do some customizing. Specifically with the group sort and the columns tab. So right now, the report, as I just showed you, it was sorting, by giver. You could change that and you could have it sort by account if you wanted to. So instead of having it organized by the giver who made the donations, let's look at it by account. I'm going to go ahead and hit print, and it's going to rebuild that report for me, but now it's going to sort it by my account. So it looks like for this entire batch, so the one from January 26th that I selected, only people gave to the general fund, because that's what it's grouped by. It's grouped by my account. And then as you can see below that, it lists me my transaction number, my giver, my amount, and a check number if they had one. And then it gives me a grand total here, along with some other totals information down at the bottom. Okay. Again, say you want to see the payment method. You want to see that column as part of the report. Simply close the preview. Now go to your columns tab, and this is where you pick and choose what information, what columns are going to show on your report. So if you look over here on the right under visible columns, these are the columns that are going to be displayed on our report. Let's remove donation comments. So I'm going to highlight it, move it over to the left, taking it off of my report. And then let's go back over to the left and look at all of our available columns that we can pick from. I want payment method. I'm going to hit my right facing arrow to include that on the report, make it a visible column. And now I will hit print. And now as you can see, I have that payment method appearing on my report. Okay. So the columns tab and the group and sort tab are really two very helpful fields for you being able to customize and really build that report that you need or that maybe a committee might need. But very easy to do from the posted batches screen. All right, let's go. I'm down at the bottom of page 30 now if you're following along. If there is a correction or a reversal that needs to be made to a batch, you will do that here in the posted batches screen. Okay. Now, if the batch as a whole needs changed, say the date for the entire batch is wrong, or the date for the batch code for the entire batch is wrong, or say the entire batch just needs to come out. Those changes you can make right here in the posted batches screen. Now, if you have a change to a specific transaction that needs changed, so say the amount on someone's specific donation is wrong, or say the account that you selected when entering someone's donation is wrong, you won't change that here. You would change that up here in Browse Donations. Okay, so keep in mind if it's on a transaction by transaction basis, you need to make the change. You go to Browse. If it's to the batch as a whole, you'll make that change here in Posted Batches. Okay. So one of the examples that I wanted to show you is how to reverse a batch. So let's say the entire batch is just wrong. It got posted in error and it just needs to come out. Okay. If that's the case, you would simply select, click the batch that's just wrong that you need to reverse. And then down here at the bottom, you're going to hit this reverse button. Okay. This is going to reverse the entire batch. So as you can see in the screen behind, there's 12 entries that make up this batch from 0202. When we hit reverse, it's going to reverse all of those 12 entries. Okay. Also, we recommend that you reverse for the original date occurred. So the original date of the transaction, which is going to be on the recommended tab. It's already going to be selected for you. You do have some advanced options if you want to reverse it for today, or if you have a different date you want to reverse for. You do have the option to do that, but we are always give a word of caution with that, because if you do own our accounting module, it can really make some changes over in the accounting module that might not be what you are looking to do. So typically you want to go with the original date occurred, but if you have a specific reason for wanting to use a different date, you have the ability to go in and make those changes. All right, so we're going to stick with recommended here. And then you also have a place down here that you can put in some donation comments. So this is really helpful, especially if you're reversing an entire batch, to put some comments in. So if you have to go back and look at this in a couple months from now, I know I wouldn't remember, putting in those comments saying, you know, accidentally posted a duplication of this batch or something like that to explain why you're reversing it. That's where you can put those comments in. Also down here at the bottom, if you use our accounting module, you want this to go over to accounting, you could do the OK and transfer. Or if you just want to take it out of the donations module, or you only use our donations module, you would just do the OK button, and that would not take you to the transfer screen. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to say permanently reverse donations, and it's going to give me the date. You can either say yes or no. This is kind of your last chance here to back out if you change your mind. I'm going to say yes. Now it's going to tell me donations for that date have been reversed, and it's going to give me the transaction numbers that we are the reversing ones. And then you just say OK. So that's simple. Now when I look here in my list, I no longer have my 0202 date available here because it's been reversed. All right. Now let's say I want to see everything that I've reversed. If that's the case, you can come up here to the top left, click Show Reverse, and now you see my 02/02/2020 date is back. It has all zeros because it's been reversed. My number of entries has now doubled from 12 to 24 because it created a reversing transaction for my original ones to take them down to 0. And it's showing in red, which lets me know that it's been reversed. Again, you can hit the plus sign and you can still see the information here of all my reversals. Again, my date posted is today's date because that's the day I created this reversing entry. All right. Now, let's say you have a correction that you need to make to a batch. Let's say you accidentally typed it in with the wrong date, which definitely happens. We've all done it. So if that's the case, you need to go in and just change the date. It's pretty simple to do that. All you need to do is click to highlight the batch that you need to make the correction to. Down here at the bottom left, hit that correct batch button. And that's going to open up a very simple screen here. It's going to show you the batch date occurred. If you need to pick a different date, simply type in or use the down arrow, select the date that it should have been entered in for. And then you also have the batch code. So if you find that you posted a batch and you forgot to add the batch code to it, or you found that you need to go back and add one anyways or remove one, this is where you could select one or hit the X to remove it if need be. Right? Again, if you just need to change the date here in donations, you can do OK. If you want that change to then be saved and then take you to the transfer to accounting screen to send it over to accounting, you can do the OK and transfer. I'm just going to hit OK here. And it's going to tell me your corrections require that the batch be reversed and re-entered. The new transaction numbers for correcting and reversing are, and then it gives you those numbers. We'll go ahead and say OK. All right, so now if you were looking at still leaving show reverse checked, you can see I now have two things in red. I have that original one that we just reversed together. And then I have my correction that we just did, showing me the 0209 date. And then here's my new date that I picked, my 0210. Okay. So that is how you do a reversal or a correction to an entire batch. Very simple to do right here on the posted batches screen. All right, and then just a couple other things I want to point out, some other buttons on this screen that are also helpful. We have this group by date posted checkbox. This checkbox can be very helpful if you find that you had, say, a batch posted on January 5th, and then A couple weeks later, you accidentally post another batch for, say, January 5th, and now you have one batch that's correct, that was posted properly at the right time, and then you have another batch that was posted for that same date that you posted later. So this is actually going to break down and show you the date you were actually sitting at the computer and you posted that batch. Let me see if I can find one here. This is training data, so we might not have one that has more than one posted batch. Actually, let me pull up my reversal. That will have one. Here we go. So as you can see, it's now sorted or grouped by my date posted. So now for that batch that we did the correction to and changed it to the 10th, you can see the original date that it was put in. And then here for 6/10, today's date, when I just did the correction, now you can see my reversing transactions are grouped on today's date. So it's just a helpful way to look at one donation date, but have it then grouped by the date posted, the date you were actually sitting at the machine. Okay. So that's how group by date posted works. Refresh batches. We click that, that goes in and rebuilds your screen. Just a nice refresh. You can do that whenever you wish. Down here at the bottom, we have this button here. It says Reactivate Batch for Transfer. This can be beneficial if you need to force something, if you will, or kind of refresh it, wake it up to have it then transfer over to accounting. So a good example of this would be perhaps you have a backup for accounting that was restored, but it doesn't include a batch from donations. So we need to force that batch to then reappear in the transfer to accounting screen to send it over. That's where you would then hit this Reactivate Batch for Transfer button. That kind of refreshes it, wakes it up, if you will, to then be able to send it back over to accounting. Okay. It's probably not something you would use too terribly often, especially if you're not restoring accounting separately. But sometimes you might need it if you post something and then for whatever reason, it's not waiting for you to transfer to accounting. Come in here and this will then force it to pop up in that transfer screen.